Hello, today we will be sharing with you about another fruit tree, and it is a tropical tree that is popular in most Caribbean homes, or in tropical places like Hawaii or Florida, or I guess over in the Asian countries. And just by looking at the bark, I wonder how many persons can guess which fruit tree it is. And if you're not able to guess by the bark, are you able to then look at the leaves and determine which fruit tree it is? And if not, I wonder if, well, I don't see any flowers on this one. But anyway, if you're not able to guess it, then maybe now by looking at the fruit, surely you can tell. And even if you still cannot tell, let me get one. Let me see. Right, so surely we can tell what it is now. So we are looking at the guava tree. I see how wonderful and beautiful that is. So before I get into more details about the guava tree, so the guava, I believe guava is one of the favorite fruits of worms, right? So in some seasons you barely get much to eat because then the worms they always infest them, or sometimes in the first part of the season the worms they take over. But as that like the first crop finishes and then another crop comes on, those one will not have any worms. So you can see those are the marks. Those are worm marks. Let me see if I can show you inside. I don't want to squash any worms, but let's see. This is just a little, I guess, fun part. Let me see. Well, I don't see any. Ooh, I do see one. So let's do a little neat. Oh, let me find about that one. Let's do a little nature activity some more. Little nature. Where is it? It was in it. Maybe it fell out. So maybe it fell out of it. But I did see a good size one. It's pretty big. But alright, let's try again. Let's try again. So I'm not seeing any. But obviously this one cannot be eaten because they have taken over. Ooh! Now we seen one. See? Ooh! Alright, so enough with the creature part. Let's get back to the information part. Alright, so about the guava fruit. Let's start with the fruit because the entire tree is super beneficial. It's very, very beneficial. So the fruits, the guava fruit is one of the highest source of vitamin C, natural vitamin C. So you don't need to get your vitamin C from, over the counter or off the shelf, right? We have things like cherries and guavas. They are super high concerning fruits, in vitamin C. And it's also rich in lycopene, which is, it helps to protect the cells from getting damaged, and it also, promotes prostate health or prostate function, in our men. Just like it's lycopene is also found in tomato. I think most of us is more familiar with that, but it's also found in the guava fruit as well. And it's a very good source of dietary fiber and antioxidants, amongst a whole other things like potassium and so on. And the fruit, it helps to protect against and also heal cancer, heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and it helps with diabetes. It helps to control diabetes. And not only is it good overall, but because it is not a super sweet fruit, right? It's one of those fruit that it's not going to elevate the blood sugar so much like a mango that is super sweet. So the guava is one of those safer fruits that diabetics can enjoy in spite of their ailments, or on their progress to work in cooperation with God to reverse their diabetes status. They can still enjoy their fruits, such as the guava, right? And the guava juice. So we're encouraged to eat our food in whole form, but there are instances where you may have to juice. So if you have to take juice, especially like when you're sick, guava juice is very good, like for gastroenteritis, especially in infants and children, younger children, right? That's one of the best juice that you can give them. Usually persons, they will go to the shop and buy orange juice, right? But if you have guava, you can make your own homemade guava juice and give them while they are recovering from that, right? And right. So the guava juice is also good for coughing and for regulating bowel movements, right? Because of its high dietary fiber properties, it helps you to have regular bowel movements. It's not going to constipate you, as growing up we were told that if you eat too much guava it's going to constipate you. But actually it's very good for our bowel movements. And also, boiling the unripe fruit can be used as a wash for wounds and cuts. All right, now we're looking at the seeds. So we looked at the fruit as a whole, but now we're going to focus a little bit more on the seeds, right? We're going to focus a little bit more on the seeds. And the seeds, they can be ground and boiled, and that will help in, again, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. So in addition to eating the fruit, usually most persons, they spit out the seed, or some persons, they can't manage the seed. Some persons actually don't like the guava because of the seeds. If you have an issue with the seeds, you can eat the flesh part of it. Some of them has very nice outer flesh, especially if it's ripe properly, right? But you can also utilize the seeds by grinding them, boiling them, and that will give you additional benefits if you have issues like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and so on. Now the flour, let me find a flour. Let me show you what the flour looks like. Well, right, so we have, wonderful. We have See how beautiful that is? God is such a wonderful creator. All right, so the flour, they can be steep. And for those of us who don't know what steeping is when you boil the water, you put the herb or the flour, in the cup, and then you pour the boiling water on it and cover it for it to steep or infuse for some minutes. Right, so for the delicate parts of the plant, we don't boil them, like the flower and the tender leaves and so on. We don't boil them, we steep or infuse. So you can steep the flowers and use as an ointment for minor surface pain, and that will bring relief. Right, so not for those deep pain that may require more potent things like ginger or so on, but you can boil not boil, you can steep the flour and use it as an ointment to rub the area, and you will get some relief. The young leaves now. So where will you find the young leaves? The young leaves are usually at the end of the plant itself. So let me show you. So right here at the end of the branch, right here at the end of the branch, you will find the younger leaves. Closer up to the trunk, or where the branch is coming out, you will find the older leaves. And you will also see a difference in the colors. As you can see, the younger leaves are a lighter green, and the older leaves, they are a darker green. And the younger leaves will be softer. The darker leaves will be tougher. And so for the younger leaves, you would more likely steep them. And then for the darker leaves, you can boil them for a few minutes to get more out of it, right? Because the cellulose, the cell walls are more harder in the older leaves, so it will be, you will require a little bit more rigorous method to get out more out of them. But you could still steep these for a longer period of time, and you will still get something out of it. You'll still get nutrients out of it. But you can boil them for, like the guava leaves, you can boil it like for 5 minutes or so on, 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll get super benefits out of it, right? So as I said, with the younger leaves, they can be steeped for issues like diarrhea. So the guava tree is like a stomach tree. It's good overall for the stomach, but specifically you can use the younger leaves as a tea for cases like diarrhea. And then externally, to use it externally, you can chew, right? You can chew the younger leaves if you have issues like bleeding gums, and to combat halitosis and toothache, right? If you are not able to chew them, if the toothache is bothering you much, you can ground them, right? You can grind them. You can use a mortar and pestle, or you can simply use your hand and grind them until they become smaller than this. You can put them in a piece of cloth and just use something heavy to pound it. Try not to waste the juice, right? Well, this one to be ground more, right? But you could, and then you would put it into a paste. You can mix other things with it, other things that are good for toothache, like your salt, your cayenne. You can even mix a little charcoal with it to make it more into a paste, or you could put it in the blender so you'll get it more more macerated, and so that you can get more out of it, right? Or if you're just using it for you have an issue with bad breath, first you have to address the gut, because most of the times persons have foul smelling breath. It's not necessarily coming from the mouth, it's coming from the gut, right? So you have to address both places. But if it is that maybe you have an infected tooth, or some other thing going on in the mouth, you can simply chew on this, and it will help to alleviate that issue. So this is chewed a little, and guava does have a slightly bitter taste, but it's tolerable, right? So you can ground it like this, and just ground a leaf or two, or however much is necessary for you to grind throughout the day, right? So as I say, it does have a slight bitter taste, but it's tolerable. And so for the mature leaves now, but we talk about the younger leaves, because they're easier to chew. They're easier to chew, right? So you use those for chewing purposes. But for the mature leaves now, you will boil these, right? You'll boil them to get more out of it, as I previously mentioned. And they are good for like diabetes, any stomach issues you have, especially with children, like they have vomiting, diarrhea, cholera, those type of things. They have ulcer, flatulence. It's very, very, very beneficial for that. And it's also good for rectal prolapse, and that is when your rectum stretches and it slips out through your anus. The guava leaf it has an astringent property in it, so it helps to bring back things together, right? It helps to it helps to repairs the elasticity of the muscles as well, in certain areas of the body. And the guava leaf tea is also good for liver function, right? So it can help with things like jaundice and so on. It's good for parasites, hemorrhage, and the fresh juice or the tea can also help with sickle cell anemia. And just like the fruit, it's also beneficial for every type of cancer and tumors. It's good for respiratory infections, epilepsy, and menstrual pain and flow, and overall hormonal imbalance. So it's very good for as I say, even by experience, I can tell you that it's very good for menstruation pain. And we know that these things, they don't just work in and of themselves. It requires overall lifestyle change, lifestyle habits, following the principles of God. So you're not going to be using the guava leaves or eating the guava fruit while at the same time you're disregarding God's other principles of health. You won't get that overall healing and restoration of body that can be achieved. Right, so we looked at how it can be used internally, the guava leaf tea. It can also be used externally, so you can boil the tea and use it on the skin, as a wash or a bath for things like acne, heat rash, burns, sores. It can be used as a mouthwash. So just as how you would chew it, you can also boil the tea and use it as a mouthwash to help heal mouth sores, healing gums, and toothache, right? And when you use it as a mouthwash consistently over time, it can help to strengthen gums and teeth. Some persons, they may have loose, the gum is getting loose, and the teeth are starting to shake. The guava leaf tea can help, and of course it will be having used it consistently with much prayer and conformity to God's ways. It can also be used as a bath or a wash for yeast overgrowth. So this is especially for the women. Irritation or abnormal vaginal discharge. right? So you can make a bath and sit in it, and it will help to destroy um, the bacteria and the fungus and whatever is causing any form of infection down there. And also the young twigs. For those of you who know about chew stick, that is something that I haven't seen or heard of it in the longest while. But nonetheless, God has not left us without, something that we can use in its place, and that is the younger ends of the guava leaf, the guava tree rather, not the leaf, but the tree. So it's where the leaves are attached. So you can chew on these parts, and then you can also have the twig, and you're just going to chew on it, and you're turning it into a toothbrush basically. So just by chewing it, it's cleaning the mouth. See the twig? Just so it gets flattened. Well, this one is falling apart, but so you chew it, and you can use it and literally brush your teeth. So it's like God have provided, your your toothbrush and your mouthwash on one tree. And then after you finish doing that, you can make some tea. After you finish drinking your tea, you can have some guava to eat. Right? Isn't that wonderful? Right? So you can, as I mentioned, you can use the young twigs for that. And it is said that it helps in giving you or encouraging strong white and shiny teeth. And of course, it helps in freshening your breath, because the properties in the guava, it is destroying the bacteria in the mouth, right? And also the bark. Let's get a closer look at the bark. The bark can also be boiled and used for curtailing or preventing malaria infection and reducing high blood sugar, right? And the root, of course, we're not going to dig up the root, but if in any case, a guava tree get destroyed, or you have to really have to cut down a guava tree, you can preserve the roots, because it can also be used for diarrhea and stomach ache as well. And the wood, just by looking at it, you can see the durability of the guava wood. And many carpenters, they use it in making handles for small tools like knives and so on, because of its durability. All right, so we just want to thank God again for blessing us with so many things in one tree. And of course, we're not just going to utilize these remedies without doing our own research, because we all have different health conditions, and we have underlying conditions that we may need to address more intelligently. So of course, we are going to do our own research, and see how the Lord leads us in utilizing even these things for the different ailments that was mentioned. But we know overall, just having the fruit and having the tea, because of the leaves, because of the just the general benefits of the leaves, there's really no harm that can befall us as we utilize these things. And one of the wonderful things about the guavas, there are so many different varieties. So you have some that are, it's like it has a sweetness to it, but with a little tanginess. And you have some with, they're very tangy. And you have some that's yellowish, palish. You have some that's super pink. You have some that's elongated. You have some that's round. I'm not really seeing much on this one. You have you know, a whole lot of different shapes and also taste to them. This one is not ripe as yet. See this one. So, so, so this one is, as you can see, this is two different types. They're the same color, but they're two different types. So types and sizes. All right, so until next time, take care. God bless.